Welcome to the adventures of Bob. We want to thank Diane for bringing Crazy Bob into our little world. He has been a source of entertainment. Now let us meet Bob. Here's Bob, and what you see is what you get. Overall, Bob is a pretty good fellow. However, Bob can be quite the prankster, as you will see very soon. Sit back and enjoy the adventures of Bob. Here, Bob jumps on Marcy's desk and stares. Bob is watching every move Marcy makes. Learn from the best is Bob's motto. Bob's head spins around when Marcy tells him how many computers he has to roll out this year. This is Diane. She's the one that started all this Bob madness. Bob telephones his brother, Rob. "Hey Rob, I found someone who could solve all of your inventory problems." Bob is fascinated by Diane's Managesoft skills. So he gives her the following label: the Einstein of Managesoft. This is Alan. He shows Bob what he does. And Bob is not too sure he likes Alan's job. It looks like a lot of work, a lot of paperwork. Yes, too much work. Bob now has a headache. No one around here can keep up with Alan. You might say Alan was just trying to throw Bob a doggy bone. Bob meets Mike. Finally, someone who can explain things in plain English. Not like some of those nerdy techs around here. And Bob knows Mike is a great musician. Bob just found a new best friend. One day the boss walks into the office, so Bob decides to look busy. Bob can be playful at times. And we have a feeling Bob is up to something. He was. As soon as the boss left, Bob copies his moon on a dare of all things. That's our Bob. David is gone, so Bob pretends that he is the supervisor. Bob uses an old trick to gain entrance into David's laptop. Bob wonders, where does David keep those darn performance reviews? We agree, this is ugly. Bob thinks he just hit the jackpot when he sees dozens of new computers. Bob figures he could sell these guys on eBay. Yes, they would sell fast on eBay. Only one problem though. What lock combination did Hartman use? Think. One day Bob sneaks into the PC lab and starts tinkering. Bob thinks, shoot, I could fix this stuff. Bob says, this is so easy, a caveman could do it. As he laughs out loud. Bob finds a shiny object and says, "Is that a new MacBook Pro up there? Those darn PC techs keep all of the good stuff too high." Well, will you look at that? It looks like poor Bob lost his grip. Maybe a ladder would work better. Without telling anyone, Bob decides he will surprise Alan by restocking his boxes. Bob's goal is to earn some brownie points. So far, so good. This box is a little heavier than expected. Either these boxes are getting much heavier, or Bob needs to join a fitness club. Bob's antics did not go unnoticed. His supervisor sends Bob to safety training. At first we thought Bob was doing well in his safety training. We thought this because Bob was concentrating, and he even commented, "Oh, that is how you do it." But It wasn't long before Bob started being a wise guy again. Bob was heard making the wise guy comment. "Hey, I could create bigger lightning bolts from a Tesla coil." We knew Bob would not pass his safety training when Bob made a comment. "I could use this little mechanical beast to move computers between the cubicles." Unfortunately, Bob failed his safety training. Bob is worn out after his safety training. He decides to take a break. He's probably thinking about his next adventure. We can hardly wait. What next? Oh, my goodness! We can't believe this. Bob wants to find out what the fire alarm does. Bob, we don't think you should pull that. With the fire alarm still sounding, Bob decides to hightail it out of Dodge. In his excitement, Bob lets the door swing back, and now his arm is stuck. Lucky for Bob, he was able to free his arm. Bob was last seen leaving the compound with an unidentified person. They were last seen headed towards 1KC. Later that day, Bob was confronted by another Bob. The other Bob was Security Bob. Security Bob wants to ask our Bob some questions. "Did you pull this fire alarm?" "Well, that depends. Are you packing?" "No. We don't carry guns." "Okay then. In that case, my answer is no." There was something fishy about Bob's answer. So Security Bob takes Bob in for interrogation. Bob wonders if he will be back in time for lunch. Today is Taco Tuesday. You might say Bob got off easy. His punishment is to type the following sentence until he runs out of paper. "I will not pull the fire alarm." Let's see how Bob is doing. Looks like Bob had a lot of paper. At least he finished his assignment. Thank goodness it's Friday. Let's see what Bob has in store for the weekend. It's the weekend, and Bob is the first one at the bar. The first item on his agenda is to tweak his pool game. His next agenda is to find someone to buy him his drinks. Looks like he just found someone to buy his drinks. A new friend. His next agenda is to be friendly to his bosses. Bob tells his manager, "I hope your day was as radiant as your smile." Oh boy, talk about brown-nosing. Next, Bob offers to buy drinks for his supervisor. But, of course, Bob doesn't tell his supervisor that Bob's new friend is really paying for the drinks. After several drinks, Bob's supervisor tells Bob, thanks, but not to buy him anymore. Shoot, a few more drinks, and Bob was hoping to ask him for a raise. After consuming a few drinks himself, Bob starts flirting with the ladies. And after quite a few more drinks, Bob starts flirting with the tabletop. Looks like Bob is getting tired. Bob is so tired, he crashes on the bar. Right before he falls asleep, he tells his friend to keep the drinks coming. But we don't think anyone heard him. When Bob finally wakes up, he discovers that it's the next morning, and everyone has left. But, happy-go-lucky Bob will be just fine. Now, which way to the restrooms? Bob helps decorate Diane's cube. But somehow he ends up wrapped up in the plastic. Help! Anyone? Could someone spare a moment? Looks like Bob has done it again. He forgot to move out of the way when everyone decorated Diane's car. Help! Anyone? Can anyone hear me? And so our adventures of Bob have come to an end. Bob will miss his friends who have retired. Bob just has one thing to say to them, as he lounges in Susan's new office. When's our next party? As he laughs out loud. Goodbye.